Hi students, welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to discuss about the types of operating system. The first one is single user operating system. From the name, you can understand that what is single user operating system, which means only one user can use this operating system at a time. But nowadays, we cannot see these types of operating system because it was the earlier types of your operating system. For example, MS-DOS, Windows, older version of Windows operating systems such as Windows 95, 97, etc. And it supports only one user at a time. But the user can perform multiple operations at a time because of the processor. The processor may support multitask, so the user can perform multitask. But only one user can use this operating system at a time. That is known as single user operating system. Next type of operating system is multi-user operating system. Here multi-user means more than one users can use the operating system at a time. In the figure you can see user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4 and user 5. And there is only one computer. That computer is shared by 5 users. So these 5 users can use this one computer system at a time. In the figure you can see there is only one CPU, and for the user 2, user 3, user 4 and user 5 there does not having CPU. So additionally a small device you can see, which means all these users are connected to the only one CPU by networking. Networking simply means you may heard about router or modem. By the help of these devices we can connect these users together into a single system. That is known as networking. So if these 5 users are in networking, they can use the mainframe system or the server. That is known as multi-user operating system. And from Windows XP, multi-user feature is supported. Next type of operating system is multiprocessor operating system. Here multiprocessor means in a single cabinet you can see 2 processors. You may be heard about dual core. What is dual core? 2 processors will be there. That is meant by dual core, quad core, octa core. You may be heard about these kinds of processors. What is the advantage of multiprocessor? You can execute more than one task at a time. So in the figure you can see 2 CPU. 2 CPU means 2 processor. So CPU 1 can execute application number 1 and CPU 2 can execute application number 2 at a time. So in a single cabinet or say in a single computer, 2 processors are executing at a time. That is meant by multiprocessor operating system. So suppose application 1 takes 5 seconds, application 2 takes 10 seconds. So application 1 and application 2 are running at a time at the beginning. So application 1 will be completed first. At that time application 3 can use the first CPU. So always CPU utilization is very high because at a time 2 applications can execute. That is the advantage of multiprocessor operating system. These types of operating systems are used in satellite control, weather forecasting, which needs a high capacity operating system. Next type of OS is multitasking operating system. You may be confused with the multiprocessor operating system and multitasking OS. Both are different. Multitasking means there will have only one CPU. So by using that one CPU, we are performing more than 2 tasks. that is multitasking operating system. These operating systems support doing multitasking. Multitasking means performing or executing more than 2 or 3 applications at a time. So, how a single CPU or a single processor can execute more than 2 or more than 3 applications at a time? It is possible by sharing the CPU. At a time, the program of one application is executing by CPU. After that, the program 2 will get the CPU. Then the program 3 will get the CPU. Then again coming back to program 1, then going to program 2, then program 3. These shifting of applications are happening in a fraction of a second. But actually at a time only one task is performing, but the CPU will be shifted to or CPU will be allocated to the 3 tasks within a short time period. We cannot think about that time period, so that much of faster the CPU allocation is performing. That is meant by multitasking operating system. Windows 2000, Windows XP, Linux, these are the examples of multitasking OS which supports multitasking. Whenever we are using that operating system, we can do multitasking. We can operate multiple tasks at a time. Next type of operating system is multi-threading operating system. From the name you can understand the difference from the previous types of OS. So what's the difference here? Multi-threading. Here thread. Thread means if there is a process, that process will be divided into several parts. That each part is known as thread. So one part is called one thread. So if a process is divided into 4 parts, we can say that process is divided into 4 threads. That is known as thread. So instead of executing a process completely, we can execute a process thread by thread. So by executing thread by thread, what is the advantage? The advantage is we can use the CPU effectively. The CPU will not be idle for any time. So for all time, the CPU will be busy by executing different types of different threads. That's the advantage of multi-threading. The CPU we can use effectively. The examples of multi-threading operating systems are Windows XP, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, Linux, Unix. These are the examples of multi-threading OS. The next type of operating system is RTOS or Real-Time Operating System. Real-Time Operating System simply means it is different from the previous types of operating system like multi-threading, multitasking or multiprocessor. One process or one operation should be completed in the exact time or in the particular time. That is known as RTOS. The RTOS is divided into 2 types, hard RTOS and soft RTOS. In hard RTOS, the time bound is very compulsory, which means if a process is arrived for execution, it should be completed within the exact time period. So what is meant by soft? Then soft means it doesn't matter whether it is completing exact time. It should be completed within a particular time period. Particular and exact. See the difference. Hard RTOS, the process which are running by hard RTOS will be completed in the exact time. But a process which is runs by soft RTOS, there is no compulsory to complete that process within the exact time. It should be completed in the particular time. And these types of operating systems are used in air traffic control, robots, weapons, especially in cars. How it working in car? For example, you know that in some car or vehicles, airbag is working after the vehicle is met with an accident. So how this airbag is releasing. So when the sensor is when the sensor senses a hit, a huge hit, or hitted by something very hard, so at that time the sensors will sense that an accident is occurred. So what happens? Immediately airbag should be released. So that is happening or that is performed by the help of RTOS or real-time operating system. Within a short time period, the airbag should be released. Then only it saves the life of a human. Otherwise, the human will die, isn't it? So that is known as RTOS. The next type of operating system is distributed operating system, which means there will have a set of computers which are connected together by the help of network, and they are located at different geographical areas. But in order to execute a software, they need to work together. That is known as distributed operating system. For example, banking system. In the main bank there will have server. That server will stores the details of all the users, and there will have many ATM machines, and the server have the operating system. The ATM machines also having the operating system, and they are working together. That is known as distributed operating system. When a person withdraws money from an ATM machine, that ATM machine, before withdrawing or before giving money to that person, that ATM machine should check the balance amount of that particular user. So that ATM machine should communicate with the server from the server in the bank. So what happens? They are working together. Both the server and ATM machines are working together. That ATM machines needed the data which is stored in the server in order to check how much balance is there in the user's account. So they are working, which means the server and the ATM machine are working together in order to withdraw money. That is known as distributed operating system.